The elders have asked me to give the family here an update on the situation in which we find ourselves in the midst of this pandemic. I think all of us are still just kind of in shock that here we are 9 months after we first found out about this virus, and we're in as bigger a mess than we were 9 months ago. The elders here have been forced to navigate us through some really kind of stormy, muddy, mucky waters through all of this. We've had really mixed guidance from the government and from health authorities and everybody else in regard to exactly how to react. We all are very familiar with how that's gone, and to this day it's still like a lot of people can't make up their minds about exactly how to handle this or what to do. And I've got to say, I really appreciate very, very much the thoughtful, prayerful consideration that our elders have given to how to respond best for this church family as far as guidance goes in the midst of this pandemic. You know, there was a period back in the spring when we basically had to quit meeting. And then when we began meeting again, the elders made the decision at that time, we are going to err on the side of safety. We are going to meet, but we want to do everything we can to make sure that while people are fed spiritually, they are protected physically just as much as we possibly can see that happening. And that was what brought about the mask mandates and the social distancing and changing how we take communion and covering up drinking fountains and social distancing in the auditorium with the seating and all the kinds of things that you see. All those protocols done to allow us to worship together while keeping us as safe as possible. And here we are now, months into this, and honestly, I think you have to look at the wisdom of their decision for us to proceed in this way and see it was definitely the way to go. I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but right now there are several churches in this town and in this area that have had to quit meeting. And they've had to quit meeting because they didn't employ the kind of protocols that we have here. And consequently, they had cases of COVID come from their worshiping together and activities that they had. And consequently, they've been required to quit meeting. To the very best of our knowledge, there's not been a single case of COVID that could be tracked back to attendance here at any of our activities, our worship services, or our classes. And I think that's very much tied to the wisdom of putting these protocols in place early and holding to them. I certainly recognize that wearing a mask is not the most comfortable thing in the world. Believe me. And as much as anybody, I would love to be able to hug people I love. But that's the kind of thing that right now just isn't all that wise. And yet we can still meet, still worship. And that extends to how we've done our worship. I know that a lot of us would love to be able to sing and have a song leader. But, you know, one of the reasons that we're using the quote-unquote canned music that we're using right now and singing along with it is because when we sing out, the virus spreads more. It does. There's no question about that. And CDC guidelines would recommend you don't even sing. Well, we're trying to follow a line there and keep the mask on and do the best we can under the circumstances. Again, I think that what we're trying to do, what the elders are seeking to do, is the best we can under the circumstances and for the foreseeable future. And understand, you know, this situation is so fluid. It changes constantly. What is true, literally as I'm speaking today, may not be true by the end of the week. You know, we don't know. But as of now, for the foreseeable future into the holidays, we are going to continue to meet as we have been on Sunday mornings in our worship service and with the classes to follow, following the same protocols that we've been following, because frankly, they work. Now, the elders have asked me to make it very clear, if you feel threatened in any way, physically, by coming to the assembly and worshiping here with us, if you have underlying health issues or other issues that you feel would cause you to become more vulnerable to the virus, please worship with us live stream and join with us in worship online. We understand, and we empathize and sympathize with your situation. Please don't feel guilty in any way. If for your physical safety at this point in time, you feel like you need to stay home and worship with us online, God has blessed us with the ability to live stream our service. It's been a blessing we couldn't even anticipate would be as important as it's been. And all those that have put that system together, and Barrett as he coordinates it, and others have just been such a blessing in allowing us to live stream our services. And so, until and prayerfully at some point, we will once again be able to come together and not have to worry about this virus. But until then, please, if you don't feel safe in coming, worship with us online. A couple of other things that I would like to share with you. One about just the physical plant here. If you've been here on site recently, you'll notice that there's been work going on in the parking lot. We're putting in French drains to try to get some of the water that was running over the parking lot drained off properly. And those, once they're installed, then it is the plan of the elders at this point to put down new asphalt on the south side of the building and extend the parking lot out into the graveled area on that south side to improve our parking. And hopefully over the next few months we'll be able to get that done. Also, this building, our facility now is 16 years old, and some of the air conditioning units, some of the big units are simply wearing out and having to be replaced, and that's been a rather expensive proposition, but something that has to be done. But anyway, there are physical changes like that and upgrades and maintenance that is being done on the building. As far as our programs go, please continue to watch the excellent lessons that Steve's presenting on Wednesday night as an alternative to our Wednesday night gathering. And we are hopeful that soon, perhaps, we will be able to resume our prison ministry and be able to go out once more to Jess Dunn and Eddie Warrior and be active and involved in that. Thank you for your continued financial support of the work here. That's incredibly important. We have over $10,000 has been given to aid our brethren down in Honduras who have faced some incredibly difficult times between the COVID problem down there, the pandemic, and then these awful hurricanes that are going through there. It's just been a terrible, terrible situation. Thank you for your generosity that is allowing us to feed those folks. And then your response to the Orphans Lifeline International contribution was just amazing. We were able to send a check for over $20,000 to aid orphans. And again, I want to stress, every dime of that will go overseas. Not a single dime will be taken out of that for administrative expenses or anything else. And we were assured that every dollar that's spent overseas will buy the equivalent of $5 to $7 here. And so that money is going to go a long ways in making a difference in the lives of a lot of children who would be without hope and without resource if not for your generosity. Would like to close with this observation. You know, there's blessings in everything, and there's blessings associated with this mess we find ourselves in this pandemic, and being forced as we've been in many ways to resort to technology and things in a way that we had never before. And one is that there are folks from literally all over the country and all over the world that are watching our worship services and worshiping with us on Sunday morning. A couple of weeks ago, we actually got a note from a fellow in Nepal. Now that's north of India. That's up there where the Himalayas are and Mount Everest, who had watched our worship service. And we have heard from folks from all over the United States here who are sharing with us in worship. I got a note, and I want to end by reading this note to you. Got a note yesterday, an email. And here's what was written. I wanted to send a personal note to say thank you. My husband, son, and I live in Bowling Green, Kentucky. We typically view a local service. However, that church had technical issues this morning. We stumbled across your service on YouTube. Ironically, your minister was preaching on the same topic that the local minister was and using the same verses. Believe me, by the way, that's an amazing coincidence because I don't know of any collusion at all. We appreciate all you're doing to keep your congregation safe. We were in awe when we saw everyone wearing a mask. And we listened at the end of the service to all the protective and preventative steps your congregation is taking. Unfortunately, many at our area congregations are focused on the virus not being severe enough to worry about, or they've made it political. That's made it tough for my husband and I to take our son to church. He has Down syndrome and autism with a weakened immune system. Their decisions have made us question whether they believe politics is greater than loving their neighbor. Today, you gave us the hope we needed. You showed us there are brothers and sisters in Christ who understand the urgency in this situation and who are willing to step up and be an example and light to the world. Thank you and bless you. In Christian love, the Plemons family of Kentucky. Brethren, we have an opportunity to make a difference in ways we don't even know. And God is continuing to bless us, I believe, as we seek to be faithful to Him. Please continue to lift up this church, the leaders of this church, in your prayers. I know you're remembering your family and your loved ones and all those whose lives are being disrupted by this virus. And may God just continue to bless us and keep His hand upon us. Thank you for listening. We love you.